Yes, I know. They're 31-4. And 31-4 without Kevin Durant, they gotta be awesome. Doug DeRozan without him. You don't know what you're talking about DeRozan without him. Listen, they are really good. You know, I would expect nothing less of a guy who's... Steph Curry did win the MVP twice. And as much as you want to go like well, MVP means best player in the league, Derrick Rose won the MVP. That's not to take away from Steph's. Maybe it's to give it. The MVP is about who had the best season, not who's the best player. Right? Who had the best season, not who had the best player. And value is, in fact, really hard. As at one time, LeBron James pointed out, value is a really hard thing sometimes to calculate. What exactly is your value? I mean, the best example of that is Kawhi Leonard. We had Tom Habistro on earlier today. He's from NBC Sports, and he was like, Kawhi Leonard guards the other team's best player and is the leading scorer. And my point is, if that doesn't have value and you're an elite defender against the best players in the game while being an elite scorer, that brings not just value, but that makes your team better. No, maybe you're not a shot creator for other people. You're a possession ender. That has value. Just the ability to say, hey, figure it out. That's what he does. So the Warriors, statistically, are very good without Kevin Durant. And probably going to win tonight. They're 7-point favorites against the gassed Portland Trailblazers team. Blazers went to 7 games. They played in altitude. The sucker came down the stretch. And they survived the Nuggets on the road in 7 games. And you have the emotion of facing a team that's kind of your nemesis. Lillard coming back home. Seth playing against Steph. All that other stuff. And oh yeah, by the way, they're without their starting center, Nurkic. So, yes, Portland has this underdog thing, and they do have 2 elite shot makers in the Shot Makers League, and they got a chance. But based upon style, they like to play fast. Being on the road, short turnaround, being without their starting center. And oh yeah, by the way, that's the style that the Golden State Warriors truthfully like to play. Don't love them in this matchup. And neither does Vegas. Especially tonight. But before we commit the atrocity which is going to be committed tonight, in a numerous amount of time, look at how much better the ball moves. Oh, look at how much better the ball moves. Well, yeah, it moves better. If you can't do anything with it, you better get the ball moving. Right? It's like, I love this idea of the ball movement's just better. And some of that's accurate. But some of it is the fact that when you have a great player like a Kevin Durant, you don't want the ball to move. Do you know why? Because you want everybody else to catch their breath. Hey, dude, I'm going to stand over here and watch you make a bucket. That's what I'm going to do. Yep, I did that. I passed it to Kevin Durant, and he made it. That's good basketball. Let's not overthink it. Kevin Durant has an Oompa Loompa on him, and most people look like Oompa Loompas on Kevin Durant, giving him the basketball in a spot where he's going to make it 50% of the time, or Aussie says 43% of the time when they're up into his body. Sometimes I'm going to take that. Just so I can, that has value. It has value. You may not like the stats to it. You may not like, but it just all kind of works. And if it didn't, you wouldn't have Clay. You wouldn't have Steph. You wouldn't have the Warriors understanding his value. You could win without him. When the greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan, retired prematurely to go play baseball to mourn the death of his father, maybe to pay off gambling debts. None of us really know why he went to play for the Birmingham Barons. When he did so, that Bulls team that didn't really have an alpha scorer had the best record in the East. You don't remember people going like, Jordan's not that good. The ball stops when Jordan's here. Did you ever hear that? No. You know why? Because they weren't better without Jordan. And stop me if you go look at LeBron's teams when LeBron, when LeBron leaves, he burns the whole thing down. Burns it all down. Top heavy contracts. Guys that can only play off of LeBron. It's built around a style of give LeBron the ball and everybody else get out of the way. And if he wants, I'll call upon you if needed, sir. And I'll throw you the ball and you're expected to make a shot. And oh yeah, by the way, in this era of the NBA, when you're not going to be great and you're just going to be okay, you're better off being horrific, which is what the Cavs have done. And mission accomplished. They got as good a chance as anybody to land Zion Williamson in the draft lottery tonight. So, yeah, he joined a 73-win team, but one that didn't win a title. And you know what they've done? They've won 2 titles, and they'll probably win this one. But the Giants weren't better without Phil Simms when Jeff Hostetler filled in. They just weren't. When the Patriots didn't have Rob Gronkowski, I've even heard, I don't know if people remember this, but remember when Tom Brady was out? And you hear like, well, they won 11 games without Tom Brady. Yeah, by the way, when Tom Brady played the year before, they won 18 consecutive games and lost on a couple of crazy plays in the Super Bowl. Right? So they went from 16 wins in the regular season to 11 wins in the regular season. And it was, at the time, the greatest offense in the history of the sport. And it became a good offense. Right? That was when he had Randy Moss in his prime. And they dominated the league. Then they set essentially every record that could or has been set, what could have been set at that time. So I understand. I get it. We so badly want somehow to show that Kevin Durant's not that great and that they're a better team without him. And look, I do love when the ball moves a little bit more. And I think that Steve Kerr could have the team move the ball more. And by the way, do you remember early on in the playoffs what Kevin Durant was being criticized for? Why is he scoring 35 points? Because he was moving the ball. What'd they do the last? And then Kevin Durant was like, have you guys been watching at the end of the season? End of the season, we've been about moving the basketball, sharing it more, kind of letting the ball find energy. Or maybe the open guy, but we'll call it energy. And then people are like, why can't Kevin Durant go and get 40? And then he goes against 45 and 50. And they're like, man, the ball just doesn't move. It's not winning. No winning. He's awesome. They're awesome. They're fun to watch. It's a little bit more difficult when you don't have ridiculously awesome, seemingly unguardable, hope the rim does its job, Kevin Durant. Right? We did this with Nick Foles and Carson Wentz. They might be better with Nick Foles. Team just plays better with Nick Foles. Like, no, not even. No. Carson Wentz was the MVP of the league, and then he blew his knee out. They didn't rush Carson Wentz back because everything was going great with Nick Foles. Right? They wouldn't have thrown Carson Wentz back in there if Nick Foles was killing it like he did in the Super Bowl. Just wouldn't. So we have a tendency to freak out. Small sample size. And we don't realize things like we don't seem to realize that Kevin Durant was moving the basketball until people criticized him for moving the basketball. And then Kevin Durant decided, all right, I'll stop moving the basketball. I'll just start scoring all the time. And then all of a sudden people are like, man, he's awesome. And oh yeah, by the way, he was in the process of being awesome, of saving the Golden State Warriors from a loss at home when he hurt his calf muscle. So, Warriors are awesome. They're better with Durant, but they can still be better than the Blazers without him because they're better than the Blazers. There you go.